Like our content? It's funded by viewers like you. Please consider becoming a sustaining supporter of New Church Live today.
That's right. Thank you so much, everyone, for your support. It has made what we do here possible. My name is Curtis. Chuck is away this week, but I'll try to hold down the fort here. Today's talk is called It's Okay to Not Know. I wanted to make sure I didn't say it's okay not to know. It means the same thing. So this is something that I have been grappling with myself, which is how do you live in life when you don't know what's going to happen? And most of the time, you can function in that. You just sort of don't think about it, or you assume things will go kind of well. But sometimes it hits you, like, I don't know. What if this bad thing happens? What if that thing happens? You don't know, and somehow you gotta live. I'm very interested in how is it that we're meant to live. This is a question I want to open with. What attitude are we meant to have toward life? I'm reading this great book about New Church theology by Prescott Rogers, and he gave me this great insight into what we call the Word. So the Word is a term that's widely used in the Christian world. It'll mean the Bible, but I think beyond that it means the message, the revelation, so the Word. In this book, he said that the root of the word, for word, is the same as the message. It's like, what is the revelation? Why did God give a revelation in the first place? There's a message. God is trying to give us this message, and that's actually, it's not even the Bible itself and the stories in it, it's the message that comes in that. So God is trying to give us a message, and it's a message about how to live life. So I would like to do that. There's a program, there's a way in which you don't have to. You can do whatever you want. It's very much, it's beyond a free country. It's a free reality. People can go and do whatever they want, but there's like a recommended mode of being. And here's a little bit of it right here. So what is God asking us to do? So first I want to look at Matthew 6:28-30. Because if we're talking about how are we supposed to approach our life day to day? This is actually Jesus is standing up in front of a group of people, and he's telling them, this is in the middle of the Sermon on the Mount, unless I'm mistaken. He's telling them, look, this is how you think you should live, but really do this. I'm recommending you do this. This is a pretty famous passage. Maybe you've heard of it, or maybe you know it. Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin. And yet I say to you that even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. Now, if God so clothes the grass of the field, which today is and tomorrow is thrown into the oven, will he not much more clothe you, O you of little faith? Zing at the end there. So he's trying to tell us not to worry. And specifically to say, look, these flowers, they're just there. Sun rises, God takes care of them. I want you to be like that. I want you to be like that. And he knows that that's a hard thing to do. That is not the way you would approach life by default. I mean, to worry about the future, I have to try really hard not to do that. But here's God saying, look, I know that there's this default human mind that you all got right now. I want you to go live in this way. Okay, so don't toil, don't spin. Got it. So how do we not toil and not spin in life? If God said we got to do it, then let's do it. I think a lot of the toiling and spinning comes because we don't know what's going to happen, how things are going to turn out. I feel like knowing the future seems like it would solve a lot of problems. If God is saying don't toil, don't spin, then I think if he told us what was going to happen, then we could relax. As long as we liked it, as long as what was going to happen was the thing we wanted to have happen. So if you go to the next slide, right? Wouldn't it solve a lot of problems? Let me give you an example, a really clear, tangible example of this. If we're supposed to go through life with this attitude of like, all right, we're like the lilies, God is taking care of things. I'll tell you the story of when I used to be really into basketball. So I don't even know how many years ago it was. It's impossible for me to keep track of years anymore, but there was the NBA Finals, and I was really invested in basketball at the time. Like, I think my wife took a picture of me once after, it wasn't in this finals, it's sometime when my team had lost, and I'm just like, a picture of misery on this chair, and I was just like, this is not right. Evil has happened today. The world is not good. So I was pretty wrapped up. I was pretty invested in it. So there was this finals that I'd been watching really hard not every game, but close to it. I've been building and getting really invested in this. Then there was these NBA finals, and it was so intense and it was so close. And I remember just going up with the ups and down with the downs. And that's really how the game of basketball is. Like, you have teams go on runs. They hit a three-pointer. You really, like, things are great, then they're not great, then they're not great. And I remember just the elation and then the agony of that as I went. And then my team won. The team that I wanted to win won. And I was feeling great. And I remember later seeing, I was somewhere and there was a reruns of the finals on. And I was like, oh, I want to watch this because I know it turns out how I want it to turn out. And it didn't bug me at all. When the other team would score, when the other team would be up by 10, didn't bother me in the least because I knew it was going to turn out fine, right? So if you know it's going to turn out fine, that takes care of it, then you don't toil or spin, right? So if God could just give us that would solve it. So can God do that? Can God tell us what's going to happen? I guess the question is, does God know the future? Does God know? Or maybe he doesn't tell us because he's on the edge of his seat like we are. How's it going to turn out? The answer is yes. God does know what's going to happen. You can find this in the Bible, in Isaiah, this in many places, but this is a good one. I make known the end from the beginning, from ancient times, what is still to come. I say, my purpose will stand, and I will do all that I please. So not even just, I know what's going to happen, but I'm going to make this happen. If you go to New Church Theology, in the book Divine Providence, again, that's all over New Church Theology, that God foresees what's going to happen, but this is a really cool way to say it. Divinity is infinite and eternal. And what is infinite or eternal or divine is not in time. It therefore sees the whole future as present. So not just, I know what's going to happen, but I'm here with it right now. To me, this is all, I'm here with everything. So God knows the future. The question then, if knowing the future can mitigate your stress in the meantime, the question becomes, will God tell us the future? Could that solve if he wants us to not toil or spin, will he tell us the future? And I happen to have the answer here. I didn't look at the slide, so I don't know what the answer is going to be. So let's see. Will God tell us the future? The answer is no. God won't tell us the future. Is that really it? Aha. The answer is like kind of both. God does tell you the future in some ways and doesn't tell you the future in other ways. And both are for very particular reasons that you can live by right now. So for the rest of this talk today, we want to look first at why God does not tell us the future and how that helps with us living the right way, how you can live by that in a way that makes you happy and good. And then we're going to look at how God does tell us the future and how you can live by that in a way that makes us feel happy and good. So, stay tuned.
Last night I got a call from you and say that you're not fine. Today you have a lot of things weighing on your mind. I won't tell you what to do, where you need to turn. I don't have your answers or what you need to learn, but I'm listening to you. Yes, I'm listening to you. Reaching out, cry for help, message to relay. I won't be interrupting anything you wanna say. Rest your mind in an open space, a place where you I can hear. Up above a song of love, everything is clear. And I'm listening to you. Yes, I'm listening to you. Well, I'm listening, still listening to you. Yes, I'm listening to you. You know I'm listening to you. Oh, I'm listening to you.
Beautiful. And that's perfect for this, because think about the act of listening. It's like if you don't know the instructions to something and somebody's going to tell you, you really pay attention. You really clue in, because you need to know what they're going to say, and then there's this relationship of, okay, I'm listening to you, and we're getting to know each other. So if we have our life and we don't know how it's going to go, we need to try to listen for God. And that starts to build this relationship between us and God, which the relationship, the joining to the divine, and coming into the kind of life that the message is telling us to live, that's the big thing. That's the important thing. That's why life is the way that it is, so that we can build up that connection to God, who is love. So you learn what love is, and you connect to it, and you make it the thing that you choose out of all the things in life. So in this section, this is section 2 called No, which is this is how God, the ways in which God does not tell you what's going to happen, and how that's actually by design. And it's an essential part of the experience of human life. So revisiting that bit of the Sermon on the Mount, I want to read it with a little more context, because this is a really powerful passage, and I think tells you everything about the ways in which God has set up life and then wants us to navigate life. So it's just backing up a few verses. And it's pretty clear. And I quoted this a few times ago because I think this is really, it's a key teaching. Therefore I say to you, do not worry about your life. You could full stop it right there. Do not worry about your life, what you will eat or what you will drink, nor about your body, what you will put on. Is not life more than food and the body more than clothing? Look at the birds of the air. He gives another example here of like, look at how nature just does what it does. Look at the birds of the air. For they neither sow nor reap nor gather into barns, yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not of more value than they? Which of you by worrying can add 1 cubit to his stature? So why do you worry about clothing? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin, and yet I say to you that even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. If you're not familiar, Solomon is a character in the Old Testament who was incredibly wise and successful and had a great kingdom. Seems to have had everything that a human being would want. And here Jesus is saying that these flowers, because of this simplicity and the trust they have, they're above and beyond that. So now if God so clothes the grass of the field, which today is and tomorrow is thrown into the oven, will he not much more clothe you, O you of little faith? Therefore do not worry, saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or what shall we wear? For after all these things the Gentiles seek. For your heavenly Father knows that you need all these things. Okay, I think these last 2 verses are the key. Oh, the last 3. But seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added to you. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about its own things. Sufficient for the day is its own trouble. Yeah, okay. You can't not ever take precautions about anything, but let's keep it in the moment. And, okay, I get it. I get it that you need things. I get it that life has challenges to figure out. What I'm saying is, trust me. Trust that I'm going to take care of this. And not just in a vacuum, but in this life that you have right now, with all of its complexity and all of its uncertainty and the stakes being really high. Trust me there, because you're never going to be able to see me if you don't do that. There is this thing that's called a trust fall. Everyone familiar with trust fall? I don't know if they went out of style, but it is where this used to be a thing. It's like a team building exercise. Somebody stands up on some kind of raised platform, and then there's people, probably at least 4, hopefully 6, that hold their hands out here. And the person on the raised platform who's doing the trust fall, after we've established that everyone's ready, they're facing that way, they stand straight and just fall all the way backwards. And the people catch them. And the thing about the trust fall is you can't look back and you can't sort of bend because you don't want to land flat on your back if no one catches you. You gotta go straight. And the reason is the feeling is so different. When you actually completely let yourself fall backwards and then get caught, there's this magical moment there where you actually experience, you trust the people that are catching you. You can, if you look backwards and kind of do this and make sure you wouldn't get hurt even if you fell, you can fall back and they can catch you, but you don't experience that trust. Something about that trust is really important. Otherwise, God wouldn't make us go through the difficulty of trying to cultivate it and achieve it throughout our lives. Swedenborg gives a couple of insights into this in New Church Theology. I have a quote where he's talking about angels and the attitude angels have. Now, to Swedenborg, that's just, when you die, you go into heaven and you're an angel. So your grandma's an angel, people that you know, people that you love. But also angel is a state that you can get into right now on earth. And it is the state that Jesus is trying to get us into when he does things like give us these commands to not worry about things and toil and spin, is because he's trying to get us into this state of being an angel. Because that's when we're happy. And the point of life is God's trying to give us this peace and this happiness. So, here's an interesting commentary on the part of the mindset of being angelic and what the attitude is toward the future. This is from Spiritual Experiences 2271. Angels do not know things to come. The Lord alone knows them. This is key. Only God knows what's going to happen. I'm not saying, okay, I'll finish this quote, then I want to give you an anecdote, because I know everyone's just going to read ahead. Just one reason I am permitted to bring forward for why even angels don't know the future. Even you, no matter how enlightened you get, won't know the future. Which is that the angels, in order to have happiness, must not know at all what the future holds. For the Lord looks ahead for them, what they may think at every moment. It is as the Lord said, that they should not be anxious about the future. So that's different. The Lord looks ahead for them. So you get to the point where rather than saying, I want to know what's going to happen, you trust that God is going to work it out how it should be worked out. Something about that has this magic that creates a state in us that's called heaven. Because we can worry about things and then, okay, they turn out right, they turn out not right, but ultimately we don't get into this peace and happiness of life until we learn how to develop this trust. Okay, so about knowing the future, sometimes I think people do get little glimpses into it. My wife once was telling me, we were walking in a park, she was telling me about a dream she had that her best friend bought a white Jetta, and then her friend called us and I'm not saying that can't happen, but in general, you don't know. And you don't know with regularity, and it's not the answer. Knowing the future is not the answer because it doesn't build that happiness and that trust that we're looking for. Here's a fascinating quote, again, from New Church Theology from Heaven and Hell. There are two things at the heart of heaven. So heaven is, again, it's the state of being how the Lord is asking us to be. There are two things at the heart of heaven, innocence and peace. We say they are at the heart because they come straight from the Lord. So God wants us to be happy. We call that happiness heaven. And this is saying there's two things at the heart of that. What kind of happiness is it? Because you can have a happiness if you hit the slot machine. You get happiness for a while, but that's not the kind of lasting happiness that we're talking about. So at the heart of this is innocence and peace. Can you pull up the next slide? I got a picture. Okay. So innocence and peace. Innocence is a willingness to be led by the Lord. And I want to have a picture of a little baby, when they can barely walk and they hold your finger so that they can walk without falling, and they're kind of steering, but really you are. Isn't it fascinating that Jesus says you have to become like a little child to enter into the kingdom of heaven? So there's something to, instead of me knowing what's going to happen, I trust that you're going to do the right thing. I can trust you. I'm trust falling into every day as it goes forward. Something about that leads to the kind of, you can have other kinds of happiness, but the kind of happiness that has innocence and peace and lasts, that's called heaven, that comes through this trust that you can get. Which I feel like, okay, I can understand why we need to, there has to be a fall. There has to be something to trust in order for us to get to that state. There's this quote that I really love. I don't know if I have it committed enough to memory, but and I stood by the man at the gate of the year and said, give me a light that I may go out safely into the unknown. And he said, go out into the darkness and put your hand in the hand of God. That will be to you safer than a light and better than a known path. That's fascinating. But actually, ultimately, trust in God, it would be better than trying to steer ourselves and knowing ourselves. So that's a part of the truth. That's why God doesn't just give you, brush all your worries away and just say, look, this is what's going to happen tomorrow. Here's what you don't have to worry about. Here's how I'm going to prepare you if this thing happens. That's the no part. You gotta have this not knowing. You gotta build up that trust in God. That's how we ever can ever have true happiness. However, God does tell us the future in the big sense. We're going to look at that next.
I know it's not just coincidence or some kind of random circumstance. Things happen always the way they do. If I could trust everything that's happening the way it is, it's just the perfect thing. It could have me, well, coming back for more. When I know, I don't know, I'm just a big old talking head. I know I must admit, I really don't know much. And often I think it's got to be a certain way all lined up for me. Most of the time it just don't work that way. If I could see it clearly in my eyes, something great could have a chance to rise up in synchronicity. But when I know, baby, I don't know, I'm just a big old talking head. I know I must admit, I really don't know much. I forget to read the room with my talking points and my slanted view. And I'm sure what I'm telling you, 'cause I heard it somewhere, so it must be true. I'm doing my best convincing you, but I missed all my quality time with you. When I know, baby, I don't know, I'm just a big old talking head. I know I must admit, I really don't know.
For sure.
That's true.
That's great. Yeah, how many times do you look back on your life and like, oh, you really wanted something to go this way, and turns out it was probably better that it didn't. So that's the I don't know if it's a bitter pill. I guess it is. It's just that we have to live with uncertainty and do the hard work of learning trust. Okay, got it. And so God can't tell us exactly what's going to go on. However, it's this fascinating or funny kind of contrast with God absolutely does tell you the future over and over and over again, and goes to great lengths to tell you this is how it's going to be. Even in that part of the Sermon on the Mount that we were reading, he's saying, don't worry, I'm gonna take care of you. He's not saying just like detach and whatever happens, happens. This is one of my favorite quotes from Jeremiah. This is God telling you the future, okay? This is into the particular plans that he has for you. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Oh, he told us the plan. Now, there's not details. There's not the details of how exactly that's going to happen, but the big question is answered. Is it going to be okay in the end? The big question is answered. And another one of my favorite quotes, this is from New Church Theology, about this state of being called being in the stream of providence, which is where you trust that life, that God's care is moving us down like a stream toward a good end. This is what that's like. This is talking about people who are in this state of trust that the Lord is asking us to be in. They know that for those who trust in the divine, all things advance toward a happy state to eternity. So things are going to get really good, and they're going to stay good. And that whatever befalls them in time is still conducive thereto. So believe it or not, this thing is going to help make that, like we're going towards this great, happy future. This is going to contribute to that future. You can know that for sure. You can't know the future, but what you can know for sure, you don't know how exactly this thing is going to turn out, but you know for sure in the long run, this thing is going to make me happier forever. You can know that for sure about every single thing that happens. Be it known that the divine providence is universal, that is, in things most minute, everything. You know, the state of the air conditioning in this building, divine providence is in that, let alone the workings of each of our lives. And that they who are in the stream of providence are all the time carried along toward everything that is happy, whatever may be the appearance of the means. And that those who are in the stream of those who are in the stream of providence, who put their trust in the divine and attribute all things to him. Wow. So carried along toward everything that is happy. You don't know. All I know is I don't know the twists and turns of this river, but I know that it gets toward what is happy. And how do you get into that state is when you trust God and attribute all things to him. Meaning like God is in charge of this. How's work going to go today? Ultimately, God's going to work this out so that it goes. So to attribute, you say, why did that sign fall over? Oh, I attribute that to the wind, because the wind came and did it. So it's to look at life and say, why is life going the direction it's going? Oh, because of divine providence. And sure, a lot of things happen in life that you think, that's terrible. How could God let that happen? We can't act like that doesn't happen. However, you can know that ultimately everything's going to be fine. Ultimately, everything's going to be fine. And that every single thing that happens is making that happiness we're going toward richer and fuller. And so that's the trust. So you do know the future. Here, I have a picture of you in the future. I was able to do this with AI now. You know you're going to be happy. And not just happy, but lastingly and permanently safe and happy. That is the intent of the existence of the universe. This is why God created anything. And that's going to happen. Providence knows what it's doing. So in that way, you do know the future. You know how the story ends already. And also, though, for the human race, we know it's going to turn out well in the end. This is a picture, I have a picture of a drawing of the heavenly city, New Jerusalem. This is the last thing in the Bible, in the book of Revelation. There's this image, there's this vision that John is having on the Isle of Patmos, which is obviously symbolic in all these amazing ways. But one of the last things is there's this huge city that's coming down out of heaven. And New Church Theology says that this is a symbol of sort of where humanity is heading. That, yeah, we've been through some rough times, but things are getting better and better, and they're going to turn out great, and they're going to keep on getting better. And we don't know exactly how or when, but that is a guarantee. That for each of us individually and for the whole human race, things are going to be getting better and better forever. And God gives away the end of the plot here in Revelation 21:4. Again, an all-time passage. And God will wipe away every tear from their eyes. There shall be no more death, nor sorrow, nor crying. There shall be no more pain, for the former things have passed away. So you want to know the future? That's the future. And in the meantime, yeah, we've got to do the hard work of building the trust that brings so that God can give us that future. We have to, let go and fall back so he can catch us. But God is not, think about a newborn baby and how attentive its mom and dad are. Like that's the way in which God is laser focused on us. So we're not being ignored. That's the future. God is meticulously plotting this with all the ultimate omnipotent, omniscient power that he has. That's going to happen for sure. In the meantime, I need you to listen to how I said to live, which is don't toil or spend. Like, sure, you got to do some things in life, but you got to work on your trust of me, and then I'm going to take care of it. So in the end, it's okay to not know, and it's by design. It's you kind of know and you kind of don't know, and that's part of the design of how you go from not believing in God to believing in God. And when you believe in God, you can be joined to God, and then you can have that happiness that God is looking for. So hopefully that stays with you, and you can use this week to build in little ways the trust that divine providence is everything in life, and that it's moving us where we need to go. As we always do, let's close with the prayer. The cool thing in this is it always matches the subject material, because you'll hear in here, give us this day our daily bread. What that means, it's talking about this very thing, which is like, all right, rather than my worries stretching on into the future, I'm here today. What good things can we do today? That's part of the attitude of life. So if you want to say it along with me, or if you want to just have a silent prayer, let's say the prayer that the Lord, we're talking about the message, this is the prayer he asked us to say. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. I guess you can see at the end there too. It's like, what's the last? It's saying, hey, you got this. You got this. And that's the point, is to come to say, you've got this. For some reason, I don't fully grasp it, but that's part of what we're doing in life, is we're coming to, even though it seems initially, where's God? We're here. We're the ones doing things. We're in charge. You come to realize that there's divine power, and that you are really like a little kid, totally dependent on that. Unless you become as a little child, that's the way it's set up, and we're going to continue to find out why, and hopefully, though, reap some of the benefits of the happiness that you can have when you do trust, and when you are in that innocence and in that peace. Thanks, everyone.
out in the hot sun. The pilloried saints and the fallen ones. Working and waiting for the night to come. Oh, and waiting for a miracle. Somewhere out there, there's a place that's cool. Peace and balance are the rule. Working towards the future like some kind of mystic Jew. Oh, and waiting for a miracle. Run your hand on the pane of the glass in the hopes that you can see when you're waiting. Stand up proud, pretend you're strong in the hopes that you can be when you're waiting. Like the ones that tried, like the ones that cried, trying to set the angel in us free. On waiting for a miracle. Run your hand on the pane of the glass in the hopes that you can see when you're waiting. Stand up proud, pretend you're strong in the hopes that you can be when you're waiting. Like the ones that tried, like the ones that died, trying to set the angel in us free. Oh, and waiting for a miracle. Struggle for a nickel, struggle for a dime. Forget about your cares and leave your worries behind. How come the future seems to take such a long, long time? Oh, when you're waiting for a miracle. Oh yeah, when you're waiting for a miracle. Oh yeah, when you're waiting for a miracle.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great week.